Hey, Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. UK basketball lands some big commitments for 2020. Plus, Fancy Farm produces some political confrontations. And we'll have highlights from UK football's Media Day. All that and more coming up next on Hey, Kentucky. Welcome, everybody, to Hey, Kentucky, presented by Wendy's. I'm Mary Jo Perino. Drew Franklin is my co-host tonight. It's been a rough weekend for America. We were on hiatus all last week. Let's bring some smiles to
Yes, let's have a happy show.
Yes,
let's do this.
Let's do this. And the past few days have been really good if you're a UK basketball fan. Yesterday, four-star forward Cameron Fletcher became Coach Cal's second commit for the 2020 class. His vertical is something that could bring back Lob City to its old Kentucky home. Fletcher's commitment came only days after shooting guard Brandon Boston Jr. committed to the Cats. The style of offense between these two prospects could make them one of the best duos in the 2021 season. As Boston grows in his own this year, the pick and roll with Fletcher could be deadly. Drew, I thought John Calipari had lost his touch.
That was the narrative the last couple of years, but here we are. School hasn't even started, and he has two great players, one of the best in the class in Boston. This guy's ranked around the 30 range, but still very, very good. I think Cal's got his swagger back, as they would say. He's on fire already and on pace to have the #1 class.
And, you know, that picture came out of the team with their shirts off.
Yep.
They look okay. They
do.
look like they have maybe bulked up a little bit.
I think they've been working out a little bit, but it's happy time for UK over there. Cal, you know, sometimes he gets that. He doesn't lose his confidence, but he gets a little quiet. He's the confident Cal we love to see from years ago.
Yeah,
So it's good to have him back.
100%. And E.J. Montgomery, by the way, too. I know we're talking recruiting, but he looked like a different kid.
Yep, I'm expecting big things from him this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, staying with UK athletics, there will be no public alcohol sales at games during the upcoming season. That announcement came from Athletic Director Mitch Barnhart last week. Not all is completely lost. If you want a little booze with your football at Kroger Field this fall, though, there's still a way you can obtain an ice-cold beer during Kentucky games. Have some money. The university declined to take advantage of the SEC's recent lift on the ban of public alcohol sales, but alcohol will continue to be sold in certain premium seating areas for those who can afford it. Barnhart says banning alcohol for the rest of the crowd gives families a chance to enjoy the games. Drew, this has been kind of a hot topic because of that. If there was no alcohol, period, it'd be one thing. But there's kids and families that are in those suites.
Absolutely. Mitch has upset a lot of people with this, and it's not the decision. I think a lot of people are fine with the decision. It's his reasoning behind it, his explanation, and the fact that 10 feet away from someone sitting in the bleachers in Section 24 can't have a drink. Someone right next to them in Section 25 can. He didn't do a good job of explaining why that is the case, and a lot of the regular fans that still pay a lot of money feel left out.
And because you can still, you drink in the parking lot before you go in, it just almost seems counterintuitive to me that we say it's a total family atmosphere and there's no shenanigans and we're going to keep it that way. That's not the case. I think it's still a family atmosphere either way it can be.
There is already so much alcohol in those bleachers. They are oblivious to what's going on up there.
They are pickled.
Yes.
All right, turning to politics now. The weekend brought the state's big political event, the Fancy Farm Picnic in Western Kentucky. Candidates in several statewide elections took to the stage on Saturday to trade blows with their opponents. In the governor's race, incumbent Matt Bevins argued his case against challenger Andy Beshear by touting his relationship with the president and by putting his pro-life stance at the center of his campaign.
Are you on the side of life, or are you on the side of those that would take lives and profit from the blood money associated with it?
What you heard from our governor today and what you have seen every day of his administration is trying to create an us versus a them.
Start of what the candidates tried to preach was drowned out by cheers or jeers, but it's clear the day marked the start of what will no doubt be a grueling campaign season. Drew, I think he was talking about pro-life, but he might have been talking about casinos there with people losing their lives, yes?
Pro-life was a big part of his message. You know, I actually watched Fancy Farm on YouTube, which I can't believe I did, honestly. And it is painful to me because they go up there and they try to make jokes, and they're politicians with their sleeves rolled up. It's not funny. It literally hurts me as a fan of like stand-up comedy and getting jabs on people. Bevin tried, Beshear tried. It's really hard to watch them go up there and try to be funny.
Amy McGaff.
And that was brutal.
Yeah, and then he fractures his shoulder. We'll get to all that. But also at Fancy Farm, the candidates for Kentucky Attorney General didn't pull any punches either when they took the stage. Republican Daniel Cameron touted his credentials in Washington, including his role in getting Neil Gorsuch confirmed to the Supreme Court, and he beamed about President Trump's endorsement. He also accused opponent Greg Stumbo of blocking pro-life legislation and giving himself a secret pension. Stumbo reminded the crowd that he helped fight the corruption of the Ernie Fletcher administration and questioned Cameron's courtroom ability and experience.
The Attorney General's office is always open to the children. We love it when they come to see the office and we explain what we do to them. But Daniel, we don't let children run the thing.
But to rid us of the old liberal Frankfurt guard, we got to beat the architect, Greg Stumbo. Greg Stumbo argues that only experience matters, but that really depends on what you've done.
So I'm not a huge Daniel Cameron fan, but I think attacking him for being younger than Greg Stumbo is not necessarily the best course of action.
Yeah, that's another example. Cameron said Stumbo is the old milk in the fridge that's been there for 30 years and stinks. For one, who keeps milk in the fridge for 30 years?
That's a long time.
They're trying way too hard to be funny and get their jabs in, but this one kind of surprised me. This one looks like it might get nasty. We knew Bevan Bashir would be nasty, but these two are already going at each other. I didn't really see that one coming.
I know, and this one's also going to be really nasty, right? The 2020 U.S. Senate race was also the subject of discussion at Fancy Farm. Standing in front of a raucous crowd, Republican incumbent Mitch McConnell tried to swat away the chance of Moscow Mitch by giving his main Democratic opponent a moniker of her own.
Now, Washington liberals responded by targeting me. They handpicked Amy McGrath. McGrath. She sends her regrets. She's still working up an answer on Brett Kavanaugh with her friends at MSNBC.
Okay, so Amy McGrath wasn't there to defend herself, choosing to pass on Fancy Farm this year, a move that critics slammed as another miscalculation in what's been called a rocky campaign rollout. Democrat Mike Breuer was there. He is a retired Marine running to McGrath's left who focused on economic and social justice in his speech. Drew, I think if McGrath had gone there, she probably would have gotten slaughtered by Mitch McConnell,
Yes.
which is why she probably did not show up. But do you think that's another mistake on her part?
It is. I understand why, but you got to go. Everyone that's run for everything in Kentucky since the beginning of time goes to Fancy Farm and they just take it. It's part of the gig. The Amy McGaff, she would have gotten a lot of that to her face. Oh, his delivery on that was terrible. Another bad joke at Fancy
Awful.
Farm, but you got to show up and just take it. It's part of the game here in Kentucky.
And then he did. He fell at his home and fractured his shoulder. Thoughts and prayers.
Yep. Hope he's okay.
Thoughts and prayers. All right, now to the story that continues to make headlines in Kentucky and around the country. Miners with Black Jewel Coal in Harlan County are waiting to see if they'll finally get their pay after an auction was held for the assets of 3 other Black Jewel mines. Some of the Kentucky miners headed to West Virginia today to attend a bankruptcy hearing, waiting to hear if a judge would either approve or deny the results of the auction. There's no final word about the ruling as of this taping. The assets went up for auction after the miners started camping out on train tracks to block coal trains from passing. The workers have also been getting financial help from their community, including nearly a $500,000 donation from the former owners of Black Mountain Resources. Drew, this is a horrible situation, but we have seen the best of Kentucky step up and try to take care of their own here.
Yeah, somehow this has turned into a feel-good story, even though so many people are
Yes.
left without money. But someone, I think, donated the bus ride to take them to West Virginia for the court. Someone is offering to pay even more money to people who haven't gotten their paychecks. We've heard of people covering bills, utilities, people that are in this situation. So even though it's been awful and a tragedy and all these people are out of money, it's been great to see the community rally around them and just the good spirit we have here in Kentucky.
And I really think it's brought to light that, yes, coal is probably going away, but there are faces and families behind that where we do have to figure out what's next for all these
We're getting
people.
a very close look at that right now.
Yep. All right, up next on Hey Kentucky, we turn to UK football. It's right around the corner. Drew talks to some of the stars of 2019 as the season draws closer. Stay with us, more Hey Kentucky next.